Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome. I'm Barbara Jean, and this is The Joy Show, where being just you is honored and appreciated and welcomed. We search the skies for brilliant new ideas and finding people who have had remarkable journeys. And we share those here because joy is just an acronym for just one you. Because there is only one of you. Well, let's begin with the land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation and peace, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet on these sacred lands. We thank the generations of people who've taken care of this land for thousands of years. And we recognize our oneness, we realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality moving forward. We are one. Miigwech. Well, my guest today is one of the most remarkable people ever, Gino Walker. She began singing at a really early age, born in St. Louis, Missouri. She was surrounded by blues and gospel and jazz, and she's worked all of it. She has a new CD called Check the Mirror, which reflects the roots. What does she say? Spirit, funk, and metal blues. Yeah. A voice that can belt it out or sing you a lullaby. She's performed at many clubs, many different churches, and currently she is the music production director at the Universal Spirit Center located in San Diego. So it is her mission to lift and shift the world through song and word to joyfully live her journey, and it really does help the rest of us. And so you want to stay in tune. This is going to be great. Welcome, Gino Walker.
Yay!
Hey, gorgeous.
Hello, beautiful.
It's so good to see you. And look at that blonde hair. You're
I
looking like
know, right? This is an interesting concept. I like to change my look a
you
lot.
do.
And I had a concert probably a couple of months ago, and I was shopping for some new ideas, and I tried this hair on, and I was like, I don't know if I'm dark enough yet. I don't know. But I kept feeling it. So I was like, all right, for the show, it'll be great.
Yeah.
And the amount of, oh my God, I love that hair. I love that hair was just like, what?
Okay.
And I say this with all love that because I have changed my hair so much,
Yeah.
different people respond to me differently.
Yeah.
And so I found with this platinum blonde hair,
Yeah.
my white brothers and sisters respond to me in a way that's I don't even have words for.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. I love you. It's like, wow. And so I started thinking, is there a sense that there's not a threat that's felt there? I mean, I get that, okay, I change up, but it's just really very interesting. It's been very interesting to have that experience that 99.99999% of the beautiful spirits that are my white brothers and sisters in my life just think this is over the top, that it's the best thing since applesauce. And it's like, wow. I'm like, this is really interesting.
Isn't that funny?
I know. So the only thing I could come up with, I was like, I wonder if the color is not threatening because it's a color that reminds them of them,
Of themselves.
of themselves.
You're probably right.
That's all I could come up with, but I just thought that's an interesting little story to
That
share.
is very interesting. Oh my, well, I love all your looks. Like I've seen you in so many looks, and the photo that we have of you that you sent me is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's taken with an iPhone. It was taken
what's
with an
that?
it was taken with an iPhone. I had finished singing at church, and one of my sweet congregants was like, "Gina, let me take a picture of you." I was like, "Okay," and
It's
he
a
did
great,
it style,
great
and I
look.
used it. It's a great pic.
It is a great picture. It's a great picture. And what's interesting is you do look quite different. I mean, of course, with blonde hair, it's going to look different, but
Yeah.
you do look, you look younger with the blonde hair.
Is that what it is? Oh, now I may never take it off. Wait.
Like there's, and maybe it's the style too, because in this picture you look stunningly gorgeous, and but you look mature.
Yes.
And in this picture, you look young and wild and flighty and beautiful, and yeah, it's just a different look. So I love it. I love it. All
You
right,
are
on
yummy, yummy, yummy.
we're getting a little sidetracked, people. Our sincere apologies, but we're good. This happens. Um, yeah, so I'm loving that look. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing with the center in the church in San
San
Diego.
Diego.
You're their musical production director. I haven't figured out how to get you to come up here and be mine, but that's okay. We can do that another day. So tell, how did that happen? How did you get there? What's
It's I've been here almost 4 years. Look at Deja, work it out, girl. That's my choir.
Yeah,
Um,
that's amazing.
really delightful, beautiful voices around Christmas time. So I've been with Universal. I think it's about 4 years now,
Wow,
and
okay.
I came in a little bit before the pandemic hit. Um, it was one of those things that the wonderful, sweet Amy Steinberg. You know Amy Steinberg?
Mhm.
Who doesn't know Amy? Forgive me, Amy. She was the musical director,
Okay.
and she reached out and was like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I have some other things that I'm going to do. This would be great for you." And I was like, "I don't think so." And I was on tour at that time as a traveling artist. I traveled well over 16, 17 years, some of everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And then another sweet friend of mine, Margaret Owens, who heard was like, "Are you crazy? They would be so blessed to have you." And I was kind of caught in my head because I don't play an instrument. And so I thought, well, I don't play an instrument. Who cares, that you don't play an instrument? You know music. And so I got out of my own way and oh yeah, look at the choir. I got out of my own way and I got hired. And so it was a blessing for me and definitely a blessing for the community because I do like technology and I
Mhm.
appreciate it even when it's working and when it's not working.
Yeah, yep.
When I want to kill it.
Yep,
But they would have had no clue of what to do when the pandemic hit, and
yeah,
I went immediately into to action mode. And so
yeah.
it's been really great to be there. And along with that, one of the ministries that I am um, one of the main team members on that I'm very proud of the work that we do is our racial equality project,
Yes.
which was birthed out of the George Floyd.
Incident, yeah, that
Yes,
was horrible.
and so it's been this amazing journey that we have part of our gathering that I do a thing called our history,
Yeah,
and the whole point was to show about the history. And sometimes those things were very in your face, and it was like, oh, you know lynching people and the raping, and I mean just showing our history. And
yeah,
so some of the people like, I get that we need to understand and know this, but can we have a prayer or something that gives us some relief after?
yeah, yeah, there has to be that.
And so then our group got together and we created a prayer, which was really fantastic. And this journey then started me taking people on trips to experience up close and personal. So my first
Nice.
trip, I took people to Alabama, and we did every museum. We did the Baptist Church, but the most profound for me is the Legacy Museum,
Yeah.
which I encourage any and everybody. If you have not been to the Legacy Museum, it is a work of art. Not only is it educational, but it brings in such beauty, and it does bring in pain and
Yeah.
hardship, but it also gives this opening of what we could be, of
Yeah.
where we can be. They have a peace garden. Um, and I mean, it was just phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. And the people that went were overwhelmed with all that they learned. And so I was like, this is really great. And so then last year, I took people to DC, Washington, DC. And it was powerful. The museums, the artistry, DC is an amazing town. The food, um, it was very, very powerful, and along with having some real tension in with one of one of the sweet travelers. Um, she made me work for my money. That
That happens.
and so there's been this really beautiful, you know, progression that's been taking place with our racial equality project. Also, movies that we've shown and to educate people.
Oh, okay.
One of the last movies that I hope everybody has seen is the Cast movie with Ava DuVernay as the director, and it's the book based on Wilkerson. Her first name Elizabeth Wilkerson. The
Isabel.
Isabel, thank you, Isabel Wilkerson on the caste system. And the movie
I
was,
didn't know there was a movie. I've got the book.
oh, the movie is profound. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I have the
Okay.
book, and I listened to it. But I am a visual person, and so
Yeah.
the movie. I'll just share one of the main things in there that was, well, two things that was really important that started to help me have a shift in where I was with how we shared our history, what that was about. And so in the movie, her quest becomes to show a link between um, the racism in the United States, the Nazis, with the Jewish, the internment camps, and the Indians, the India, the un Gino.
Untouchables.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look,
Takes two brains to make everything
where
work,
did
right?
it go? Where did it?
That's usually me saying, I can't remember the word. That's wonderful. Yeah.
And so there was this theory, this belief that they did not connect, and she showed how they did connect. She
Yeah.
showed how that the Nazi leaders, at that time they were just the German leaders, looked at America's history of slavery and how they managed to denigrate a people and take control, and they used the things out of that. And then flipping to India, where the untouchables, which I was like, oh my God. Um, Martin Luther King went to India, and there is a scene where um, he's been introduced, and they introduce him as an untouchable. And it's said that he was like, "Well, wait a minute, I'm not an untouchable." But after he sat with it, he was like, "Oh, absolutely, I am that too."
Wow.
So this connection has been made that was very, very powerful and palpable. And then the other thing that I'll just mention, that this is what shifted me to like, okay, I've got to find a higher energy in this.
Mhm.
She said a lot of times people are caught in this, well, I'm not racist, or I didn't hate people, or I wasn't there then, and I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I
And
hear that a lot.
I, she um, used it as a home, that a home has a foundation. And
Hmm.
you may not have built that foundation, but when you come into the home, you are building other things on top of that foundation.
Yes, you are.
And we have that responsibility. And
Yeah,
I was like, that is beautiful and powerful.
it
It's
is.
never been about somebody being right or wrong, but to recognize. And then what do we do?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I know I've been, yeah, 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 yeah. But
No,
that,
I love this. I love this. Don't stop.
okay. So that coupled with, I'm a huge Abraham Hicks fan,
Yeah.
and they talk about energy, which I believe energy and vibration. And so it's like, I can't, well, let me not use the word can't. I started to feel that I'm not going to ignore that slavery happened, that races and racism is still happening. It's not about ignoring it,
Yeah.
but it is also about, if we continue to hold an energy that says that we are built on racism, that is who and what we are, that's what we will continue to be.
Absolutely.
That is an energy as well that continues to keep generating this energy, this, this
Yeah.
this bowl of complacency and inequality.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation with this woman that said, Gino, I want to help the minorities. And I said, listen, let me tell you something. I'm not a minority. And she's like, and I saw her face was like, well, whatever could you mean? And I just, her whole face was like, but you're black. And I was like, no human being is a minority.
Yeah.
That is a part of this system
The
that
caste
must
system.
be broken.
Yes.
And so I've moved into a space with racial equality where I call it our history. We are the builders. And I'm
Mm,
showing how all different cultures, uh, all over the world, how we have built this world together.
yes.
Did you know that it was the Chinese that really discovered toilet tissue? I
Thank
did
you.
not know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. We are very grateful.
And it was the kings that only was silk, but that's, I'm not going into that. But I'm like, these are things that we must understand, that everything that we have, that we utilize, from every glass to every table, chair, everything, people from all walks of life
Have
have helped
created it.
create that.
Yeah.
And so that's been a huge shift for me to be able to start to show and let people see, like, we're all in this thing together.
Yes.
We're all
Yes.
in this thing together. And it really does make a difference that we can start to shift, the belief. It's like the shifting of volunteering or helping, that if the consciousness is, oh, those poor people, let me help them. That is a totally, it's a shift that it doesn't feel good to the person that because you're not looking at them as though they're capable, that they are their own unique and dynamic child of God to be able to do what they need to do. So it's the same thing, that if we look at racism through the eyes of, oh, those people, the minorities, that if we look at anybody outside of ourselves as something different, that we're all human beings.
Yeah.
You know,
We've made a huge mistake if we do
we
that
from
because
the very beginning.
yeah, we're all created unique and special. And we all came out of Africa. That's the birthplace of humanity.
Yeah.
So you're right. There are no minorities because we all came from the same place.
You can have a minority in a decision of a bill, but to say that a person is a minority, you're saying that that person is less than. that
Exactly.
that person is less than just because their color or the way they speak or the way they do their hair or their sexuality
Or their
is
mental
different,
state.
or their mental state
Yeah.
or
How much
their
money they
physical
earn.
capabilities.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um it's like, really. One of my dear friends here spoke a few weeks ago, and I love the premise of this, that she talked about in the LGBTQ community that transgenders, one of the greatest missions that she felt that they have here is to open us up to understand that we can be more than just a male and a female.
And
That
we are.
Yeah, and we are. That, we have these limited constructs that we think that, oh, this is the way it is, this is the only way it is. And
Yeah.
what beautiful light workers to open the consciousness and
Yeah.
to allow us to understand that we are multidimensional. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and we have many different ways and facets of our living beingness that expands the world, that expands us consciously. So, it's been really a gift to see this unfoldment within me, because
Yeah.
there's part of me that had some anger and rage. It was like, no, I'm not letting it go.
Well, and that's the case for many of us when we see these incredible injustices. It's like, that should not be happening. And we start to recognize, like in this teaching of the science of mind or unity or any of the UFBL, whoever, any of the new thought teachings,
Yeah.
we teach oneness. And in that, there can't be a minority. There can't be any separation whatsoever, because we are, in fact, all part of one system, which we live, move, and have our being in. So living in oneness means when I'm looking at you, I'm actually looking at a mirror of some aspect of my own being.
Yes.
And I think if we could come to that understanding collectively,
Yes.
we'd live in quite a peaceful world.
It would be a very different world.
It
I've
would.
shared this story a few times, that in that whole premise of minority and majority, I was at the grocery store and I'm standing at the butcher counter, and this couple steps right in front of me and starts ordering. And the guy behind the counter, he doesn't know what to do because it's a white male that's saying, "Hey, I want this, I want that." And I go,
Oh, white male, yes.
I said, "Did you not see me here?" And at first I started to get an attitude, and I thought, oh my goodness. If you've been told all your life that you are the prime, that you are the one, I believe at some sense sometimes people are just unaware
Yes.
of how they're moving and operating in the world, that you're operating from a sense. So I'm like, if that happens, if you've been told that you are the majority, the same happens if you've been told that you are the minority, that you are
Exactly.
different, you are less than. And, that thinking, I, anyone that is a person of color that's different from a white being in skin only, must come to recognize that there is no difference between us outside of our skin.
Yeah.
And that this fallacy that's been told, this lie, it's a lie that's been told. And
Yeah.
that lie, this is opportunity to break it. Will I see it in my lifetime? I don't know. But I do know that I can start to break my patterns, because I have to recognize that I have some patterns within
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
that
We all do.
I have seen myself sometimes that, like, oh, let me move out the way. It's like, but you know why you got to move?
Well, when you talk about that, I had an interesting experience. I was doing a funeral home had invited me to come and do a summer event for people who'd lost someone through the year or previous years. and that I would come and do an uplifting talk and just help them to come to terms with the fact that, life goes on, right?
Right.
So we have this great celebration, some music, message. It's really positive and uplifting, gorgeous. And I'm standing afterwards chatting with some people, and I'm talking to three Black women who had lost their mom during COVID, and they
Mm.
could not be with her, and they could not see
Mm.
her. And I mean, they're pouring their hearts out, and my heart is just breaking as I
Mm.
listen to them because that was so horrible. And we're chatting away, and a white man comes and inserts himself between me and them and says, "I've got a joke for you," and starts telling me a joke. My mouth, I'm sure, is sitting down to here. I'm like, what are you doing? And the women went, "Thank you so much. We love what you did. Bye." And they left. And I get rid of him and I'm trying to find them so I can go and apologize.
Right.
Because what I should have done in that moment is gone, "Excuse me, we're busy." But I was so shocked
Yeah.
that somebody would do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even respond. And then I've been hearing, the white man story lately. Oh, so sad. Trying to say that seriously. But it was so funny because somebody was complaining. I can't remember who said this, but somebody was complaining about how hard it is to be a white man today. And this system just isn't working, blah, blah, blah. And whoever they were speaking to, the woman looks at them and goes, "You created the system." You don't like it? Maybe we should change it.
What a concept.
What a concept. So on that note, let's take a brief little commercial break, and then we'll be right back with more humor and more truth in just a minute. You're watching The Joy Show on the New Thought Media Network. My guest, Gino Walker, a remarkable singer and artist. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back with the remarkable Gino Walker, amazing singer and star and brilliant woman that she is. And a social justice advocate and creating equity in a world that truly, truly needs it. So I'm loving the conversation, and I'm loving how you're talking about some of the things that many of us take for granted. And I know for me, I remember during COVID, I did a 24-hour silent retreat by myself. And so I just went to a hotel, and when I'm at the hotel, everybody was separating pans, dirty pans, clean pans, all that kind of thing, trying to keep us healthy or whatever. So she says, "Oh, I need you to sign this." And so she said, "The pens are right there." So I grab a pen out of the white bucket, sign my name, drop the pen in the black bucket, and then immediately went, "Oh my God. It is so insidious that we are participating." I don't consider myself a racist, but that was racist. And I knew it immediately. And it seems like a little thing, but it's all these little things added together that have created hell on earth. Like, we've created misery for many people. We don't need to. We can begin to shift all that through the energy of love and appreciation and honoring each other's gifts and talents, seeing each other as unique and special, right?
Yes.
All of us.
Yes. Yes.
There are no special people. Everybody's a special people.
Everybody's special. We all have special things, but it's one of these things that I think, and this is just my perception, that we are all encumbered with prejudice and some forms of racism.
Yes.
It's been instilled in us.
Yes.
We've been raised in certain things. I can remember my mother saying to me, "Gino, please don't bring no white man home."
And I think my parents said something similar to me, but I don't think it would have been a black man. I think it would have been an indigenous person, because I didn't meet a black person until I was like 19 or something.
Wow. Did you look like this? Like, does that come off?
No, because I did know that existed. But it was interesting. That's how white my city was. The only people that would be, that I would meet, there was a Chinese couple that owned the store at the corner.
Wow.
Right. So I knew of them.
Right.
Didn't know them, but would buy stuff there. And then, of course, in the country, we would, when I went to school in a small town outside of Calgary, again, very white, but indigenous, right? So we would have a lot of the First Nations students in our school, and the racism was huge. It was massive, massive. And I didn't even know that I was racist toward the indigenous population until I was driving through northern Ontario and stopped at a gas station on a reserve. And immediately my mind went to, the guy at the counter is likely drunk, and the place is probably filthy. And I was so appalled at myself that thought crossed my mind. And when I went to the washroom, I just sat for a moment and processed my own awareness that I was a racist.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, how do I admit that to myself?
Yeah.
And so I sat and I took a breath and I went, okay, but you can now go and have a conversation with this man, and you can shift this. This does not have to be your story. This was your father's story.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
He's the one who felt that way, not me. And it was like, oh, so I can forgive myself, I can forgive my dad, and I can do something different. And so then I went and I chatted with the gentleman. Of course, he was lovely. The place was beautiful. Cleanest, gas station bathroom I'd ever been in. But it was like just those little thoughts that enter our mind are really key to us discovering what we really truly believe about life and people, and can we shift it? Because it goes with money as well. It goes with even being overweight.
Oh, yeah.
Will, treat you different if you're chubby, if you've
Yeah.
got a disability. I remember being at a unity convention with my walker and people being a little pissy when I would try to get around them and they would have to move an inch or two so I could get into the conference hall. This is a unity event. And for anybody who doesn't know, Unity, CSL, whatever, this is a spiritual organization that teaches oneness, that is advocating for peace all the time.
Peace
But
out
I had
there.
a
Peace out
walker,
there.
and my walker was an inconvenience to those people.
Absolutely. I had a wonderful experience that some years ago, living in a consciousness of lack, doing real estate in order to, this is the story behind it. I'm selling real estate in order to make money so I can do music, do what I really love. And so my friend and we worked together. She had the real estate license. I did not. And I didn't want to get a real estate license because I'm just doing this to make some money so I can do singing. So there was a course that was being given at UCLA. Yeah. And we didn't have the money for both of us to take the course. So I had this brilliant idea that I would pretend to be blind. And so she could take the course, but I would be blind and they wouldn't know that I'm blind. So I could be in the classroom. Well, this was quite an amazing. And she knew I wasn't blind, but even she treated me differently. They would, Gino, I was like, I can hear. Why are you yelling at me?
Why are you yelling? My hearing's fine.
They left me alone in the corner. They didn't want to, I was like, oh my goodness. And so I got deep into my character. I was in. I would start from the car. I'm like, what are you doing? You can't leave me. I'm blind. I can't see. And it was a hassle for her. It was amazing. And at that time, I did not equate it with how we look at everything.
It is, yeah.
I was doing a march of some sort, and someone said that they weren't racist. And then this other young lady stepped in and said, oh, no, you are racist.
If you're white, you are, for sure.
Yeah. And she said, and I said, well, we all are racist. She said, Gino, you can't be racist. You can be prejudiced. She broke it down. She said, racists have the power. They're controlling. What banking system do you control? What educational? And I was like, oh, wow. She said, but you can definitely be prejudiced. We all have something.
Yeah.
And
it was only white people can be racist.
Well, you built a system that is really quite, when you look at it, it's like, wow, this thing has been going on for years.
Forever. And
you imprisoned a mind at the same time, because this was always so interesting when I was doing a lot of things on our history that really shared the ugliness.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who were like, I would never do that. I could never do that. And it's like, at the same time that you imprisoned the mind of the person that was of color, you also took the mind of the white person as well to make them feel as though this wasn't a human being.
Exactly.
That was some mighty work. There are those that just had a hate and a fear, but there were others that everybody didn't hate. and you look
Yeah.
at the amount of babies that from the man and the woman, both
Mhm.
of them, that their encounters with with their black slaves, it was like, wow, that is truly
Mhm.
some mental, to become mentally aware of all the things that even today that keep us in a system,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
system has to change.
and yeah, to say that it doesn't exist is like, come on, it exists in such levels. I'm a huge sports fan, and
No, you
sports
come.
is very
You know
spiritual.
what? I watched a basketball game.
Oh, look at you! Did you
I
now?
was
Was it
watching the Raptors when they were winning that year.
when they were
So
winning?
I
Yeah.
learned a few things. I'm too busy to watch all the time, but
They-
I know you love basketball, a sport I know this much about.
well, that's more than you knew before.
It
We'll
is.
take it.
It is.
We'll
I
take
really
it.
enjoyed it. It's a
We'll take
very
it.
fast game, and I haven't figured it all out yet, but I did really enjoy it.
It's
It's
good.
fast, it's
Basketball
good.
is a pretty easy, unlike football that has a lot of different schemes and things and
Yeah.
happening.
Well, I
And
understand football because I used to watch that all the time,
oh,
but
see, then basketball is a piece of cake for you then.
basketball's easy. Yes, basketball's much easier. But yeah, it's fun to, it's, um, I think being a sports fan is one of the ways that we can deal with our they're right, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Back to that competition. But we see competition even amongst, the New Thought movement, which consists of a number of different denominations, much
Yes.
like, you know, um, Christianity has a number of denominations, but New Thought does as well. And but what's interesting is we're all talking about oneness, and then we are very carefully protecting our own little corner, and we're competing with each other, which means separation.
Yes.
So as I'm looking at all this, I'm like, we need to do this different. I think I love what you're saying, that I think if we can look at the hell that's been created, and instead of living in that, turn around and go, okay, so that's what is. We can't change what is.
Nope.
However, moving forward, what kind of energy, because you talked about energy earlier,
Yes.
and everything is energy. So what consciousness will move us forward in a way to create a world that actually does work for the highest and best good of everything and everyone, because it must include animal life as well,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Everything has to be different, and that's the challenge, is how do you change a system that's been around for so long? And I think the way we do it is we put women in power.
I'd
I
be
just
all right with that. Yeah.
I just throw that out there.
Well, with that being said, this shift that's taking place within me, that is like what I want to leave. Um, I want to leave a trail that allows all people to recognize the greatness that is within them, and that
Yeah.
is the reflection that they see. And so with that, we talk about diversity, let's be inclusive, and a lot of times in our own world it's not inclusive if there's no diversity whatsoever.
Nada,
And
none.
so I'm saying this to all of your listeners, that I I've always wanted to go to Africa.
Mm.
And I decided, like, what are you waiting on? Let's do this
Let's
thing.
do it. Let's do
Let's
it.
do
I'm
it.
in.
So next year, 2025, taking a trip to East Africa, going on
Yeah.
safari in Tanzania, going to Zanzibar, which is one of the beaches that was the first place that one of the slave ships came,
Okay. Yeah.
and possibly that they came in and took slaves from there, and possibly Kenya. But I'm bringing that to meld that, I'm sending this out to everyone.
Yeah.
That a lot of times, I mean, your family, your friends, your neighbors, we can only be diverse when we're in the company of people that agree with us. And it is showing now that we've got to find a way to be inclusive without having to have somebody, you've got to agree with me.
Yeah, because you don't have to agree with me.
No, you got to sound like me. I've had someone recently tell me, um, um, how do I, you're an angry Black woman because my inflection in my voice, my passion is different from yours. I said, that is so racist.
That
Well,
is racist.
yeah, but well, and then this, I love this one. Well, that's just what I'm experiencing. Okay, all right. And so, to recognize that people are different,
Yeah.
cultures are different.
Yeah.
And because, I remember years ago, I was at a Carl's Jr.
Mm.
And I'm standing up there getting ready to order something. And the two, I'm going to say they were sisters, two Asian women came in. And one of them slipped and fell and hit her head on the concrete.
Oh my gosh.
And so her sister is over her and she's what I would call yelling at her, speaking. It could have been Korean or Chinese, and forgive me, I'm not clear, but speaking in their language. And then she slaps her on her cheek. Woman gets right up and acts like nothing is going on. And I thought, oh, that's just rude. That's just, and then afterwards, well, that's their culture. You
Exactly.
don't know what that is. You're seeing it from your limited eyes. That's what that means. And so it's
Exactly.
that same thing that a Black woman with a big voice. Oh, she's a loud Black woman. She's an angry Black woman. It's like, oh my goodness. In order for me to be respected, I have to speak like
I have to
this.
be really quiet and soft.
Very
Yeah.
quiet.
Because I'm a girl and
And even when you say things that really piss me off, I have to be like, well, that's not really what I would say. And it's like, oh my goodness, all of these things that keep us locked in. And if
yeah,
we don't start calling them out, that's the best thing that I
we
can
have to call
do
it out.
is to
Yeah.
call it out. And
Yeah.
so this trip to Africa is open to everyone. I think it'll be great. People that go to church, people don't go to church, people that are Republican or Democrats or independent or people from another country. It does not matter. Can we go and share in on a continent that is rich in its essence,
Yes.
that has understood a lot about keeping the foundation of its beauty intact, and come together and share this time. And so I will have information up on our webpage, Gino at Universal Spirits, or actually, yeah, you can contact me. Great. Thank you, Deja. She's on top of it. You can contact me through my email address. Probably next week, I will have things up on our webpage that will have a special link for our African safari trip. But
Excellent.
I'm very excited about it. I'm excited to open it up to all of the community and beyond, and to take this journey together to expand our awareness of who we are, to expand how we can treat each other, and just how we can stop looking from just our limited little minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's this small, and the universe is so
Vast. Well, I can't wait for you to go to Africa because my experience there was so beautiful. And I was in Kenya, and I'm going to go with you. I've decided I got to go with
Yes,
you. I got to go with you.
you gotta.
It's a done deal. So, I'm looking at my holiday time and looking at when I need to get my vaccinations and get my travel visa for East Africa and all those things that took me forever last time because I
Yes.
had no idea what to do. But this time I actually do know what to do. So, You
And
know,
we have a
it's
great tour company, African Lux, that they have a list of all of those things. Because, this will be my first time going to Africa.
yeah,
And a lot of people that have said that they want to go, this will be their first time. And so once I built this on the web page, all those things will be there for people. Unlike you old hat now. You've been there. You know the ropes. You know the ropes. But it's going to be a joy to share this with you. We
yeah,
have been in
yeah.
each other's lives for a very long time.
Very long time, very long time. And
Yes.
that's one of the greatest moments of my life. And I think, when you came to Toronto to speak at my center, to do music at my center, I had no idea who you were.
I know.
I had no
He
idea.
trusted me.
You sent me an email. I went, oh, okay, I'm going on a holiday. Why not? And it turned out that on that Sunday, I actually wasn't going anywhere till the next day. So I went to church. Now you were a little nervous about that.
I
She's here checking
was.
me out. She's checking me out. She probably is worried, but not at all. I was excited. I wanted to experience you. And then we went out for lunch and you went on from there. But that began the start of a really great friendship. And even though we live a lot of miles apart, a lot of hours in the time zone, there's a bond that we've got that I am so incredibly grateful for. And it all started with you sending an email. Can I speak at your church? Sure, why not? And you've been
Oh,
back to
you really
sing
said
and
yes.
yeah, yeah. And your singing is remarkable. I think that for me, like when I listen to you sing, it just touches my heart. And the way you perform at church with the group of people and the way you just your presence overall is so warm and inviting. And this conversation has been so wonderful for me because I'm hearing, I hear a lot of people who are angry, and boy, do I understand it. Because when I started reading the book Cast, I was angry.
Yeah.
When I read The Spirit of Intimacy, and looking at that, and when I, look at all these other books that I've been reading, I'm like, how do we do that as human beings? How do we do that to each other? And that's what needs to change. But it can't change by me focusing on all those bad, terrible, awful people. What I have to recognize is all of us have participated and all of us need to shift it and change it. All of us need to participate in the healing. And that comes from focusing on the good,
Yes.
focusing on the beautiful, focusing on the possible, which is what we teach in New Thought.
And one of the things I remember having this conversation with one of our congregants that was very upset, that felt as though because she was white, she was being blamed. And I said, there is no blame, but there is a point that we have to start recognizing that this is real. I said, and you must recognize for yourself that your ancestors that did some of the most just heinous things, there has to be healing in your energetic history as well.
Absolutely.
The prayer that we say ends in, we are all a part of history.
Yeah.
Because we all are contributing. And so, it's the commitment to awaken each day and recognize that what will this day bring that I can leave for history? How will I show that?
Yeah.
So it was amazing. But thinking about when you've been in a bubble, and we all have been in certain types of bubble. Like I said, I realized like I was angry. There's anger. And sometimes some stuff still come out. I'll be like, "Woo, Gino, we gotta." But I recognize you gotta get it up in order to be
Yes.
aware that it's
Yeah,
there.
you do.
In order
That's the key, right? Feel it, process it, release it.
Yes.
Don't stuff it down.
Don't stuff it down. And the whole guilt thing is that I'm at this point. It's like, I don't think you should have to apologize for your process.
No,
Allow, do what you have to do for you. But a lot of times, and it's a weird thing. I feel like a lot of times when people apologize, they're apologizing from a guilt space, and so there's still a link there that says,
Yes.
you know, and so that it's never really broken. It's never really healed. It's never recognized that, yes, I am a different individual than you. I see
Yeah.
things differently. I speak differently. I eat differently. I walk differently. I love differently. And
And that's all okay.
and that's all okay. Never should we have to apologize for that. And so
Yeah,
that's part of, as you've said, that's, this the healing process. It is to see more of how we are connected than how we are apart.
exactly. Well, we're down to our last couple minutes.
What?
Time flies, I'll tell you, honey, it flies. And before I do this wrap up, do you want to come back next week and continue this?
Oh, what's that? Next Friday is, what date is that?
The 20th.
I could do that.
Because I think there's more that we can talk about,
Okay.
that this conversation, I think, like, we've just touched how the idea of how we can go from our reaction of anger, frustration, hurt, pain from both sides of the fence, or
Yes.
all sides of the fence,
Yes.
to a place of we can talk about, what are the things we can do, and how can we view each other to create greater harmony?
I
Because
like
I think, yeah, I love that. Okay, so we're going to have you back next week, and we're
Love
going
it.
to continue. But to close off today, what's one thing you would like people to take away from today's conversation?
One thing to take away from today's conversation. I think the one thing is that when you love yourself, you really open the space to love others.
Yes, that's the answer. Love is the answer, as it says
Love
on my
is the
wrist.
Love is the answer.
Love is the answer. I love that. And I love you.
I love you.
This conversation has been really, really wonderful. And I'm hoping everybody who watches it feels an uplift as a result of looking at the ideas of racism, separation, caste systems, and begin to look at the fact that all of us are unique, special human beings, all created in the same way. We all came from the same place. And ultimately, we're all going to the same place. So, we may as well find a way to get along.
And get along.
Get along together, love one another, and shine. Thank you, Gino. You really are. You're a blessing.
You are absolutely. Deja, kisses for you for all you do behind.
Oh yeah, Deja, you're amazing. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today, and for everybody who watches after the fact. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Right.
And be sure to send some donations to the New Thought Media Network. It is a charitable organization, and we're providing all sorts of good, positive messages for all of you to create a truly wonderful life. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Deja. And thank you all. Have a most wonderful weekend. And I'll see you next time when Gino will be back once more.
Kisses for you, my love. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye,
On
everyone.
behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network. Come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.